Hello friends, welcome back to Kossi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kossi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to part 2 of the Arsenal transfer update today. Part 1 was about midfielders. It's already up on the channel. Make sure you watch it. Talked about Ruben Neves, talked about Manuel Locatelli and the likes of Matt O'Reilly, Lovro Mayer and a couple of other players that Arsenal are interested in. Mykylo wants a midfielder, so it's important you watch that video as well. In this one, of course, we want a left winger, a left forward as well. So we're going to be diving into all the names that have been linked with Arsenal in the last 7 days concerning that position. Ibrahim Adel from Pyramids in Egypt. From Egypt, it's very, very fascinating. The guy must be very, very good. We'll talk about a couple of other players, Mykylo Mudryk as well, featuring in this one. Andreas Schelderup as well from Nordjylland, again linked with Arsenal, but I don't think these are deals Arsenal will be trying to sign or trying to do in January. They are very, very, very primitive deals. But of course, we're going to be reacting to them and we're going to be talking about them in this video. Hit the like button for me. Let's get this one to 300 likes as well. Subscribe to the podcast. We're very close to 59 and then 60,000 subscribers. And in the comment section, is it Mykylo Mudryk? Is it Cody Gakpo? Or would you love Arsenal to sign any of these unknown names? Ibrahim Adel from Egypt, or the likes of Andreas Schelderup from Norway from Nordjylland in Norway. So talk to me in the comment section. Now let's start off with an update from Fabrizio Romano. He was talking about Saka. He's been talking about Bukayo Saka and the new contract situation. And I think I said something about this in the morning. He said Arsenal are really, really afraid that a couple of clubs around Europe and also in the Premier League, top clubs, have been monitoring the situation of Bukayo Saka. They're trying to rush the deal. They're trying to make sure that everything gets wrapped up before serious interest from Liverpool, from Manchester City, from Man United, and all these other big clubs can be registered. Currently, Arsenal are confident the deal will happen. He will sign a new deal, but there is a lot of interest. There is a lot of loitering around from these big clubs. And of course, when you have the likes of Madrid, when you have the likes of Liverpool and Manchester City sniffing around, it might cause some kind of distraction to the player. It might cause some kind of discomfort to the player. Mykylo talked about it during the beginning of the season, and he said why he wants Saka to sign a new deal as quickly as possible is you don't want these players to get distracted. Now, Saka is coming onto the pitch in October in a very, very hectic schedule, in a very difficult period, and then he's thinking about that new contract worth 200k per week, and that is why Mykylo was saying it is better for these players to sign new deals before the season starts. It's better to clear any kind of transfer rumors, any kind of transfer business, and any kind of contract situations before the season starts, because when it does, then it becomes a distraction. I don't think Saka is distracted. I think he's very, very strong. I said it in the morning. He's very, very mentally up to the task. I know he will actually live through this, and I know he will sign a new deal at Arsenal. But Fabrizio says clubs are monitoring the situation. Madrid, Barca, Bayern, and all those clubs are looking at Bukayo Saka. So Arsenal either speed up or they face competition from these big sides. It's the same thing with William Saliba, again from Fabrizio Romano. He says William Saliba is not only on the radar of Arsenal to sign a new deal. A couple of other big clubs have already told his agent that they would love to sign him. Arsenal right now look at the player as untouchable, and he says, actually he uses the phrase inflexible, I think inflexible, and he says Arsenal are not flexible with William Saliba. Olympique Marseille tried tried to have a go in the summer. Arsenal said no, we're not giving you William Saliba, he's untouchable. And of course, in the summer as well, Barcelona looked at him as an option to Jules Koundé. Arsenal said no as well, we cannot sell William Saliba at the moment. So it's either William Saliba completes his deal at Arsenal for the next 2 years and works on a free. Otherwise, he's set to sign a new deal. But other big clubs, other power horses, other powerhouses are looking at him around Europe as well. So big update from Fabrizio Romano when it comes to those two. I hope they sign new deals because it is becoming freaky. It is becoming really, really, freaky. Now, again, from Fabrizio Romano has been talking about Cody Gakpo on the Code Offside channel. And he said, look, right now, Cody Gakpo is one of the likely moves in January. Man United, Arsenal, Newcastle, Leeds United All these clubs were very, very keen on him in the summer and are still very, very keen on him come January. Now, Arsenal did show their interest in Cody Gakpo since January this year. I'm not really sure why, as we dived deeper into the transfer window, our interest cooled down and actually to almost being non-existent. You look at the likes of Leeds United, they made offers. The likes of Newcastle made offers. I'm not really sure why he didn't join Newcastle, but for Leeds United, what I can say is that it was a late-minute deal and there was not enough time on deadline day. So Leeds United could go back in January. It will depend on the kind of budget they have. But Manchester United and Arsenal are other clubs to keep your eyes on when it comes to Cody Gakpo. So Fabrizio says is one prospect, is one available player for January, and is one that we might see crossover from the Dutch Eredivisie to the Premier League. Manchester United have been heavily linked as well. I think when you think about Rashford, you think about Sancho, you think about Ronaldo and all those situations, it just puts Manchester United in the right position to sign a player like Cody Gakpo. But of course, Arsenal are in the market for a new winger, for a new forward. So Cody Gakpo, given his ability to play as a central striker, as a second striker, as a support striker, as a left winger, as a right winger as well. I won't be very surprised if Arsenal try to have a go at Cody Gakpo. And of course, there are not going to be so many available options in January. Come January, if Arsenal is still on top of the table or 5 points or 4 points below Manchester City, then it only makes sense for us to get a midfielder and to get a support striker or a left winger, just to make sure that we boost our chances. Should Manchester City slip up, should Manchester City make a mistake, we should be the guys, to open our hands and grab the fruits of that. So, Cody Gakpo, keep your eyes on that one. Not very close, not one that Arsenal should be saying, as Arsenal fans, that we should be saying will happen. But since it's happening in January, since PSV are open to selling in January, let's wait and see what's going to come out of that. Now, Chelsea, again, according to Fabrizio Romano, Chelsea and other clubs are monitoring Gabriel Martinelli. Arsenal look at Gabriel Martinelli, according to Fabrizio Romano, as untouchable. We look at him as the future, one for the present and one for the future. Arsenal do not even think about negotiating with any club about Gabriel Martinelli. But Chelsea, Tony Bolly is creating an army of players. He's already spent over 190 million in the summer. He has signed Christopher Nkunku. I think it's going to be around 65 million. And then he's looking at the likes of Gabriel Martinelli. So whatever is happening at Chelsea, it is scary. Fabrizio Romano says a couple of other clubs, not on Chelsea, but also big clubs are looking at Gabriel Martinelli. So if you see Madrid sniffing around, if you see Man City sniffing around, Liverpool sniffing around, do not say I didn't say it. I've said it. Romano says and confirms that Martinelli is on the radar of a couple of big clubs. But his contract runs down in 2024. Arsenal are working on it. We want to extend his contract until 2027. If we were allowed to give these players, release clauses, if English clubs were okay with, putting release clauses in players' contracts, I think Saka, Martinelli, Saliba, Odegaard, and Gabriel Jesus plus Zinchenko, all these players must have release clauses up to $1 billion in their contracts. It's non-negotiable. But Romano says right now, Arsenal fans have nothing to be afraid of. Martinelli is 100% perfectly thinking about Arsenal. He doesn't want to go anywhere. Saka doesn't want to go anywhere as well. Plus, Lexa, William, Saliba are all contented, and they feel they feel at home at Arsenal. So yes, there is some transfer rumors when it comes to them, but not at the moment. They're not really scary. It's just about clubs sniffing around top talents. Of course, when players are doing well, clubs will always have to realize they'll come in, they'll have to bid for them. We've seen it with Mohamed Salah. Madrid were interested, and Barcelona as well. We've seen it with Sadio Mane. Bayern were interested, eventually signed him. So whenever whether you're a big club or a small club, whenever you have players in from other top powerhouses are always gonna come in for them. Now let's get into some of the very interesting talk around the players that we want to sign. Let's start off with Mykylo Mudryk. Now rumors from Ukraine are saying that Arsenal will try to sign Mykylo Mudryk in January just to put off competition from clubs like Newcastle and Leeds United and a couple of other clubs that would love to sign him in the summer. He's doing very well in the Champions League. He's doing very well in the Ukrainian League, and this is creating a lot of market. This is creating a lot of interest from him. Many clubs around Europe right now, many clubs that were not interested in him in the summer are now interested. You're talking about clubs like Manchester United, Manchester City now. You're talking about clubs like Barcelona. You're talking about clubs like Dortmund. You're talking about clubs like Bayern Munich as well. Look, to be honest, I'll give a lot of credit to Shakhtar Donetsk. What they did not to sell him was absolutely very, very strong. To turn down around 30 million, to turn around 40 million that clubs from the UK, clubs from the Premier League were actually offering. That was very strong for them. I think it's very, very similar to what Benfica have done with Darwin Núñez. They refused to sell him for 50 million in the summer, and they eventually sold him for around 90 million euros to Liverpool in the summer. So I think it's very, very similar. In January, I think he will go for around 60 million euros. That is Mykylo Mudryk. And in the summer, if he keeps on performing well, if he keeps on doing well, I won't be very surprised if a club signs him up for 70 million. But this would be a very, very good strategy for Arsenal, just like Chelsea have done. Chelsea have gone and agreed personal terms with Christopher Nkunku. They've told RB Leipzig, we will be triggering the release clause of the player. Just give us the agreement. So Christopher Nkunku is technically a Chelsea player playing at RB Leipzig. Can you believe that? So no one right now can sign Christopher Nkunku. There is an agreement between the club and between both clubs, and also between Chelsea and Christopher Nkunku. So Arsenal, going in January, try to sign Mykylo Mudryk. In my opinion, it would be a very, very good deal, because there you can tell them, we're signing Mykylo Mudryk for £45 million or £50 million, and we're gonna leave him for you for another 6 months, so that you complete your UEFA Champions League journey, you complete your Ukrainian league journey, and after that the player will join us in the summer. I think that would be a massively very, very good deal. I don't know what you people think, but in my opinion, that would be kind of lucrative to Shakhtar Donetsk. That would be kind of luring them into the trap. And also, you're shedding off competition from clubs that won't have the 50 million to pay up in January. So, I mean, what you want to say? If you're getting him in January, you want him to come and help us in the title charge. You want him to come and provide that kind of depth for Saka and Gabriel Martinelli. But what if it's the only way? What if signing him in January and waiting until the summer is the only way, right? I am predicting that by January, Emil Smith-Rowe will be back, fully fit and up and running. So that will be an advantage for Arsenal. I'm also predicting that the likes of Reiss Nelson will have come around, had a few training sessions, and will have been integrated well into the squad. That doesn't win us the league. I'm not that deluded. And that doesn't actually guarantee us top 2 and top 3. But what I'm saying is that if Mykylo Mudryk is not available for a full transfer in January, how about agreeing a deal in January, letting him stay at Shakhtar Donetsk for 6 months, and then welcoming him at Arsenal in June. I feel like that would be important. I feel like that would be a good way, a win-win situation where both clubs do not lose and both clubs don't, both clubs do gain, but both clubs don't lose a lot. Arsenal would lose a lot because you want your £50 million signing to come and help you with your season, especially with many games after the World Cup. But Shakhtar, if they're adamant, you could add that kind of clause. I also thought about sending Reiss Nelson the other way. That could also help, give them 50 million and give them Reiss Nelson as well. I don't know if Shakhtar would be considering that kind of a player plus cash deal. But anyway, Arsenal want to sign him in January to kick off and kill off competition from all these other sides in Europe that are interested in Mykylo Mudryk. Good deal. Very good initiative. I can see the purpose in there. The question is, do Shakhtar Donetsk fall for the trap? Because they know in January, 50 million is good. In the summer, 70 to 80 million is achievable. It's attainable. With this market and the prices that are being attached to all these young players, you never know. You never know. You will see players like Saka going for hundreds of millions, and Shakhtar believe Mykylo Mudryk must be going for hundreds of millions as well. Now, the other player we are linked with is Andreas Schjelderup. Now, he's playing for Nordsjælland in Norway, another Norwegian player, by the way. So I think having Martin Odegaard as captain and Arsenal would just help us get his services. He's playing at Nordsjælland, very young, 18 years only. Now, Norway, a footballing nation that are known to bring those young players that are quite exceptional. The example is Martin Odegaard. He was very, very good at 15 and was one of those topics that we were talking about in the UEFA Champions League at just 15. So Nordsjælland do have this guy. He's 18, can play as a left winger, can play as a center forward, can also play as a support striker. Very, very well. This season is really done very well. I've seen he has 7 goals in around 10 appearances in the Norwegian league. That is not bad for an 18-year-old. He's been progressive enough. Now, one thing I've loved about him is he's played. This is his 3rd season in the Nordsjælland senior team. That is in the Norwegian Senior League, right? This is his 3rd season at 18. Very, very similar to the profile of Saka. These young players that just come up and blow up the world, just blow up your minds. But my question is, do Arsenal need an 18-year-old to join up right now? My answer is no. That is where I'm skeptical about it. And many people told me, because you never wanted Mykylo Mudryk. Now, I never wanted Mykylo Mudryk. And if you remember, one of the reasons, he lacks the experience. I wanted someone that can come into this Arsenal side and challenge Martinelli and challenge Saka. And the way you're going to challenge them, you must have the experience, the talent, and also you have lived the experience as well. So you have the pedigree. So I feel if we signed Andreas, Schjelderup, he'll join up with the under-23s. Not a bad move for the under-23s. I think he's talented. I think the boy is okay. If we can sign him for the under-23s, it's a good deal. Definitely, it's a good deal. I cannot stand in the way. But signing him for the senior team right now, I feel like we will need those kind of players that will take us over the line. Those kind of players that will win us semi-finals of the Europa League, the final of the Europa League. And it is not Andreas Schjelderup. Unfortunately. The other player as well linked with Arsenal is Egyptian winger Ibrahim Adel. Now, Ibrahim Adel, again, is another player playing in Egypt for FC Pyramids. Again, when a player is linked with Arsenal in such a league, you've got to believe he's that good. And I'm going to say this, the boy is that good. He's getting the numbers, and I've been impressed by him. He can almost play each and every position on the pitch. I've looked at his statistics here. He's played as a left midfielder, as a right midfielder, as an attacking midfielder, as a support striker, as a center forward, as a right winger, and also as a left winger as well. So that speaks volumes about him. Very versatile. We know Mykylo loves the versatility. These players. He's slightly of age, 21. At least that is a better age as compared to Andreas Schjelderup, who's 18. But the problem is playing in the Egyptian league. It doesn't rank anywhere. It literally doesn't rank anywhere. Now, I'm not saying Arsenal should not sign him because he's playing in the Egyptian league. I'm saying there's a huge jump. There's a big difference between the Egyptian league and the Premier League. He might get overwhelmed. He might get overpowered by the fact that he's going to be playing in the Premier League. And that's why I would suggest that if Arsenal were to sign him up, loan him up to a club like in France first and foremost, because I think France clubs really deal well with these African players. Loan him up in France for at least a season. And then take him to Spain for another season, take him to the Championship for a 3rd season, and then he will be ready to play for Arsenal. And that sums up my reasons for not wanting him as an agent signing. We are looking for someone who can give us that, that spark. We're looking for someone who can give us that, difference in the season. right? Someone you can put off the bench, come onto the pitch and create wonders. Someone to push Martinelli, to push Saka, but to push them professionally and push them well. I don't think Ibrahim Adel is the boy for the job. And finally, Jonathan David, according to Fabrizio Romano, Jonathan David in the summer was on the radar of Arsenal and Tottenham Hotspur. However, the problem is that both clubs decided to go for Richarlison and Gabriel Jesus. So we decided to go for Brazilian strikers. So Romano says there is a slight chance that if Arsenal were to sign another striker, Jonathan David is another name we will be talking about. Now, he's not bad, honestly. Of course, there was a lot of hype around him in January when Arsenal were looking for a striker. We were told by the agent that was going to be his last season in the French Ligue 1 and all that. Why Arsenal didn't sign him, I don't know. Am I okay with that? Yes, I'm absolutely fine. I don't think he's the guy that is responsible for, the numbers we have in Gabriel Jesus. I don't think he would have reproduced that. And also, the work rate, being a beast, the relentlessness you get from Gabriel Jesus is on another planet. So, Jonathan David could be on our radar still, but not one that I'm really excited, about. So this is part 2 of the Arsenal transfer update. Like I said, part 1 is about Ruben Neves and all the other midfielders we're linked with. Make sure you watch it on the channel. Kosi Arsenal on Twitter, Kosi_19 on Instagram, and I'll see you very, very soon.